Historically, when people first started doing business in the form of organizations, all decisions of the organization were taken unanimously. However, with time, as the size of organizations increased, as the complexity of commercial activity increased, it became very inflexible for an organization to work if the consent of every single member of the organization had to be taken. Therefore, today what we see is really a form of majority voting in the case of most organizations or companies, which as we understand it today. However, this led to numerous problems. What it meant was that some shareholders who had invested in the company would never have a say in the decision making of the company. It led to chances of abuse, and therefore there was a genuine case for protecting minority shareholders in certain situations. Typically, minority shareholders are protected across the world in three kinds of situations. First is when the majority shareholders or the management is oppressive or is mismanaging the affairs of the company. So for example, if they are siphoning off the funds of the company, in such cases, minority shareholders have a right to go to court and get a remedy. Second is where the company is about to get into a merger. In such cases, the shares of minority shareholders, in fact all shareholders, are going to be taken away in exchange for something else, and therefore special rights are granted to minority shareholders even in the case of mergers. Third is when a new majority shareholder is going to enter into the company. These are takeover situations, and the minority shareholder may no longer be interested in staying in the company with the majority shareholder. These are the three situations in which minority shareholders get special rights across jurisdictions. In addition to the three situations that I just spoke about, the Companies Act of 2013 confers special rights on minority shareholders of companies which have raised money from the public in two special situations. First, where the company proposes to change the purpose for which the money was raised, and second, where the company proposes to change a contract referred to in the prospectus. In both these situations, at least 75% of the shareholders have to agree to the change, and shareholders who do not agree to the change have a right to ask the majority shareholders or the promoters to buy their shares at the fair market value. There are several problems with these provisions. See, there are many problems with these provisions of the Companies Act. Firstly, they make it extremely inflexible for a company to operate within these parameters. Let me give you an example. A company raises money from the public to build a factory in Surat. It subsequently finds that the prices of land in Surat have shot up and therefore finds it more viable to build the factory in Chhattisgarh. It goes back to the company, gets a 75% approval. Then there is no reason for the remaining shareholders to be asked to be bought out by the majority shareholders. Second is, it makes contracts very expensive for the company. Every time a term of a contract, say for example, a key management personnel has to be amended, the company has to go back, get a 75% approval, and then see who is dissenting and pay money from the majority shareholders' pockets. Third is, it creates absolute misalignment of incentives for promoters as well as shareholders themselves. So promoters may choose not to disclose contracts in the prospectus so that they don't have to deal with this provision. Similarly, shareholders may choose not to vote for a proposed change which they would have otherwise voted for in the absence of these special protections, just so that they can go and get these special rights. In light of these problems, these special protections, which are very peculiar to India, need to be deleted from the Companies Act of 2013.